G'day, it's Justin Hogg here from RightSource, talking about cash flow again. So what we're going to talk about today is how not-for-profit, or if you're a not-for-profit, some pointers in terms of how you should be looking at your cash flow and managing your cash at bank. So really managing your cash flow, and this is the same whether you're a not-for-profit or in business for-profit, is all about discipline. So it's about making sure you're consistent with your process and staying on top of what's going on. So the first thing that you should do is regularly look at your bank account. So regularly look at your bank account, your credit cards, and understand what's going on. So whether you're doing that daily or weekly, by having a look and at least knowing what your balance is, maybe having a look at through some of the transactions to make sure you know what's happening, that helps you, one, stay aware of what's going on. Secondly, in regard to that, whoever's doing your books and your bookkeeping should be looking at your bank account and doing those transactions and recording those transactions frequently as well. The reason behind doing that is if something odd comes through, or if you do have a credit card attached to your business and someone uses that fraudulently, you pick it up very quickly and that helps protect your cash. The other thing is if your accountant or bookkeeper is putting those bank transactions into your accounting package regularly and costing them to where they should be costed, it allows you to be able to keep up to date and have a snapshot of where the business is, or the not-for-profit is, at any point in time you want during the month, rather than waiting till the end of the month and doing the bank rec at the end of the month. So that is making sure that you keep on top of what you have. The next thing that helps with the cash flow of any business, but especially not-for-profits, is having some discipline around when you make payments. So if you have a fortnightly payroll for your employees or a weekly payroll, obviously that brings in a schedule, and that tends to happen in that periodical fashion. We actually want to do the same sort of thing with your suppliers. So you want to have a periodical way that you pay people. A lot of people find it easy to tie that up to the payroll timing. So if you have a fortnightly payroll, on the same day you do the payroll for the employees, you do payments to all your suppliers. What this does is it makes sure that you don't just have cash going out all the time, and you have one point in the week where you actually sit down and look at what expenditure is going out, and you make sure that expenditure is valid so that you can better manage the cash that's going out of the organization. It also allows you, because you're focused on what payments you need to make that day, you can often put a bit more thought into, is this expenditure stuff that we should be continuing to incur, and allows you to proactively manage that expenditure of your organization. So if there's stuff that's coming through, we need to pay this in this cycle, you can question it and go, well, that's probably stuff we don't want to spend as an organization, and take measures to stop that expenditure incurring in future weeks. So if you compare a deliberate process in making your fortnightly or weekly payment run to your suppliers to, hey, we just pay stuff when it's due, what happens is you tend to be making a payment every other day. You're not really looking at it. It's like, oh, this is due, quick, let's pay that. You don't really put any thought to it, and it can actually lead to when things either get paid twice, get paid when they shouldn't get paid, or mistakes happening, which then can cost a real cost in terms of cash going out of your organization. So that's why it's important to have a bit of a deliberate process in terms of how you make payments going out of your organization. The last sort of point in terms of managing cash flow is then to have a projection of what's going to happen. So have a cash forecast if you like, but basically looking out 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks, in terms of what cash you expect to be going out, which should be in line with your budget or your forecast. Also, the timing of when some larger chunks are going out. So when your BAS is due, or your PAYG, or also your superannuation. So they're large payments that will come through every 3 months or 2 months, depending on how frequently you're paying those things. But they can be a real hit in terms of taking cash out of the organization. So you want to have a feel of when they're happening, and so that way you can prepare for them. And on the flip side, you also want to understand what cash is coming into your organization. So if you're grants based, you want to understand when your large grants are going to come through. It can also be a prompt for when you need to acquit your grants, because if your grants only come through once you've acquit your previous expenditure, you'll see that you've got no cash coming in, or a grant money is due to come in 2 weeks. Well, you need to put the acquittal in for that to allow that cash to come in. So it helps that foresight in terms of where things are going. If you're a not-for-profit that charges for a service or has more frequent billing coming through, an NDIS operating in that space will have this happening, in that you actually have cash coming through more regularly. Well, you still want to manage and understand what sort of level of cash you're expecting each week, and that can also help you then see, well, if you're looking at your bank account, you can see if your expectations are meeting what's actually happening. So again, that deliberate process of going through some of these steps just allows you to be informed, and I suppose your finger on the pulse when it comes to your cash flow, which ultimately in any business is what keeps your business alive. So if anyone's interested in a template, we have on the Right Source website, we have some templates. I'll put a link down below at the bottom of this article, so that if you're wanting a cash forecast template, click the link and you can download a template, and that way you'll be able to use that if you don't have anything to start with. Otherwise, there's some more videos on YouTube that would be interesting in terms of how you run your business and some tips and learnings from the financial side of things. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. It's Justin from Right Source.